Hello Infiniteers, I am back in my Nautilus toy box and I am continuing to work on my giant squid. Last time I added some tentacles with pendulums on the end, and then I hooked up a pair of flower targets to use for the eyes, which can open and close. And these things add some much needed movement to this object, this giant squid, and it makes it feel a little bit more alive. And I have a couple more ideas for how to add some movement to this creature. And one of them involves the pendulum over here. If I swing the camera around, you'll see there's a gap between the end of the tentacle and the pendulum. There's one over here on this one too, but this doesn't bother me as much because the only place you can really see this is if you're looking up from this side, and that's hard to do. But this one's going to be very noticeable. And I had an idea for what I could do about that. If I select the pendulum, you'll notice there's a logic menu. And if I open it up, there's a new path connection. And my thinking was, if I created a path, a circular path, kind of like this, similar to this one, to where I could rotate this thing and put it on its side, that might make it work a little better, because then I could bring the tentacle up here, connect it directly to the top of that, and instead of swinging in a vertical plane, this thing would sweep back and forth across here in a horizontal plane. And so I tried that, and I got some footage of that. As you can see, it kind of works, but I spent a lot of time trying to set the properties on this thing to make it orient the way I wanted, because it just did not want to follow the path. And I would set the properties, and then I would save the toy box and reload it, and it would be in a different place. So I spent a lot of time tweaking properties again, and I recorded a whole half-hour video of me just trying to get this thing to orient the way I wanted. And I finally realized this just isn't going to work. If I lay that thing down on its side, it just isn't going to cover this entire piece of terrain here. And if I made the terrain smaller, that didn't really work either. And so I think I'm just going to have to throw that idea away. It was a nice try, but I think it's going to be more trouble than it's worth. So instead, what I think I want to do is we are going to move this piece out of the way, and we're going to try doing what we did on our second pendulum down below. Let's just try connecting up a piece of rail slide here to where it's actually attached to this thing. And let's see if we can make this work. And I may have to move this around a little bit to get everything to line up. We also have further to go to bring this down, so that's going to be an issue. But let's just see what we can do. Yeah, so already I'm seeing when I have to bring that over or push it out just a little bit. I think probably the easiest thing to do is just going to be to push this out. I really wish the horizontal rail slide had worked, because I thought that was a pretty good idea. I was quite pleased with it, and I was all prepared for that to work and to kind of wow you with it. And then it didn't work. And rather than publish that video and just be all frustrated with it, and you guys watching me spend a half an hour playing with that thing, and the result not being good, I think it just worked out better this way. Alright, so there we go. We have that thing moving, and at least now it's connected to the tentacle. It's kind of a little bit of a roundabout way to get there, but I think we can also pull this back over that way, because I had moved this last time. Put that back where I originally had it. Alright, so there we go. I think that's a little bit better. At least now it looks like it's connected to the squid. Alright, another thing that we can do to add a bit of life to the giant squid is to add some air bubbles. And so I'm going to come into the Creativitoys and select a few locators. And we're going to place these around the perimeter of this thing. I think having one maybe on the front, along the sides, would be good. And then I'm going to drop an effects generator. Oops, went too far. Effects generator. And we're going to connect this up to each of those locators. And I think right now as I put these down, I oriented them all the same way. So I'm going to change these. Sometimes the orientation of those locators matters. And I think it'll actually orient the effect a little differently based on the orientation of those locators. It does sometimes with smoke, so I'm thinking maybe it will with the bubbles. But the idea is to make it seem like it's, first of all, underwater. Second, that it's breathing or something. Alright, we'll connect up our level starter to that. New logic connection on catalyze. Play looped. Underwater. Bubbles. And once again, let me drop a button over here that we can use to invoke the randomizer, or the level starter. I don't know why I said randomizer. We'll leave this button here for a while. Should have left that there from last time. And I don't see anything happening. I'm wondering if maybe... Oh, there it goes. Oh, you gotta be close enough. That's why. If you're too far away, that doesn't work. If we come down the pipe out of the ship, though. We have a little bit of air bubbles. That's kind of interesting. Then we come up here, and the air bubbles stop. All right, so that wasn't really all that helpful. So I think I'm going to go ahead and ditch that idea. I think it would work better if those things were visible from a greater range, which is what I had been thinking would happen. All right, so that idea won't work. But another idea that I had was to add some sound effects. So let's try that out. So under the gameplay toys, we'll need the sound effects generator. Set the properties, turn that off. And there's several sound effects that I kind of thought would be useful. First of all, we talked last time about playing an ink sound when you hit that eye and we trigger the sky change. I was thinking it would also be a good idea, maybe if this thing made some kind of an underwater animal sound that made it sound like it was hurt. So let's start with that. So when this is hit, new logic connection, when the target is hit, if we come over here, we go under the animal category. Let's see what we have to work with. A monster roar could be good. A hiss could be good too. I'm thinking the monster roar might make more sense. And let's see what that sounds like. That actually sounded pretty good. All right, and then the sky change goes back. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. New logic connection when hit. Play the monster roar. That's going to help this thing feel alive as well. Now I also want to play that ink squirt sound. And that was the connection coming over here to this action enforcer. But I don't think it's going to be a good idea to play those sounds at the same time. So we'll put in another time delayer. And I notice it takes a couple seconds for that sky change to take effect as well. So let's set the time delayer on this to, let's make it 2.5 seconds. And I'm going to come over here and we're going to delete the red flower target link. We're going to connect up to the time delayer instead. So on the flowers, a new logic connection, when this is hit, we will kick off this time delayer. And when that time delayer goes off, which should give enough time for the monster roar and the sky change to be underway, we'll go ahead and do our symbiote on the triggering player. Assuming it remembers who the triggering player is. We'll see in just a moment. New logic connection when hit. Kick off that time delayer again. So no matter which way we go, we're going to do that. Oh, and then on the time delayer, new logic connection, when the delay is completed, we'll come in here and probably under the general category, let's see what we've got. If there's anything that sounds like a slime or not seeing anything so far. And we are almost out of options. All right, let's try under action. Punch, a slap, a web shot maybe? Maybe a web shot. Let's see what else we got. Nope, nothing under there. I don't think we'll probably find anything under here. Yeah. Okay, I think let's try the web shot. All right, let's see what that does. And now she's slimed. Didn't really hear the sound effect though, did you? Let's try that again. Yep. Well, I might have to play with that a little bit offline and see if I can come up with a better idea for a sound effect for that. I'll play with that and let you know next time. Okay. Another idea might be if we could play a death sound when this thing dies. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to look. I don't remember seeing anything that would sound like that. The monster roar is the closest thing, and we're already doing that. But, yeah, we'll have to see. And then the final thing is what happens when this creature dies. And my thinking is when you hit each of the eyes once, that's when it's going to die. So to trigger that, let me pick this time delayer back up. We're going to need a dual action trigger. Must have gone the wrong way. There it is. Alright, so on the eye, new logic connection. When this is hit, come into our action, our dual action trigger and input. That would be input 1. We'll do input 2 on this one. So when that's hit, come over to the dual action trigger, input 2. And then output from this is what's going to determine what happens when the creature dies. Now, one of the things I'm thinking, since you only have to hit the eye once, is after you hit the eye, we shouldn't reopen the eye. And so we'll do a new logic connection. When hit, we'll turn off the repeater. And same thing on this side. New logic connection. When hit, turn off this repeater. So the player only has to do that once. And that should keep the eye in a closed state. If this has already gone off, this will close it when it goes off, and it'll stay off. It'll stay closed. Even if we did manage to hit the eye twice, only one of those inputs matter to the dual action trigger though, so we should be okay. Alright, so when this creature dies, there's several things I want to do. First thing I want to do is stop the pendulums. So we'll do a new logic connection when complete, because these things shouldn't be moving anymore. So we'll turn those off. Because the creature's dead, it shouldn't be moving. New logic connection when complete. Turn that one off. New logic connection when complete. Turn this one off. Okay. All right, the other thing this should do is once the creature is dead, we want to open up the path that goes to the cliffs. And I haven't built the cliffs yet. I'm going to do that next time. But it will open up the path over here where we can start moving over this direction toward the cliffs. Okay, one more thing I want to do today. I just wrapped up the video and realized I'd forgotten to do this. But I want to put in an enemy wave generator over here. So I've dropped that, and I've connected it to 4 locators that I've positioned over here. And when we look at the properties on this, I configured the wave to use 4 clam pirates. I would love to use a variety of these guys, but given how much memory I have left, which isn't much, that's what I'm going to do, is just use one enemy type. And then all I did in the properties was take the generation delay to 0. And I think I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way temporarily. Okay, and then to kick off the enemy generator, we don't need to do that until the player gets over here. So what we're going to do is drop a trigger area here and stretch this across the front. Like that. And I think I'll raise that up a little bit too, just in case the player has the idea that maybe they can super jump over this thing. Alright, so new logic connection when entered by player any. We will generate the wave. And a new logic on the wave generator. When the wave is generated, we'll disable this trigger area. And let's go ahead and have our level starter reactivate it, just in case we need to test this multiple times when we're playing, which I'm not going to do today, but make sure that's active. Okay, so when the player gets over here and they land on this, that's when they're going to be ambushed. They're going to want to be trying to line up a shot there. And actually, it's going to take a moment for those enemies to be generated. So maybe what we want to do is try to surprise the player by having them approach from behind. So they pass through that trigger area, they come over and they're trying to line up their shot, and almost immediately these guys attack from behind. That'll make things a little more interesting on this side. And we could do the same sort of thing here, but with that pendulum there, that could be a problem. And I'm looking at the memory I have left, and I might just wait and see if I have enough memory to do that over here. I think we kind of need it over here, but at least we have the pendulum on that side. So let's see what it's like after we build the cliffs and see how much memory we have left. And that's what we're going to do next time, because killing the giant squid should open the way for the player to reach the cliffs. So I'll share my ideas with you for that next time. Until then, I want to thank you for watching. Before you go, leave a comment and let me know what you think of my giant squid now that I'm finished. And remember to like this video and subscribe for more Disney Infinity builds like this. That's all for me today. Take care.